Hello again, everyone. Welcome to the Unspoken Rules Running Your Sex Life. And thank you so much for being here, for showing up on time or almost on time. We made this agreement with the people who were on time at the call to wait another 2, 3 minutes for everybody to join so we can all start together. I am very, very excited to be here to talk about this topic that we rarely talk about, sex, and also to be with people that I know from different walks of life and I don't know. And it's the first time that I'm meeting them. So this is a very precious space for me to be in. And thank you so much for accepting to be in this space with me and with everyone else. To start with and to break the ice a little bit, if you can type in the chat in one word or maybe two, how do you feel about hearing the topic of this session, this masterclass, the unspoken rules running your sex life? How do you feel about hearing this topic? There are a lot of curious and intrigued people, unknown, a bit of shame. Thank you for being honest. Strange, fun, great. Thank you. Thank you for bringing all these colors of feelings to the session. Um, I want to start with creating some agreements. Agreements are the basics of everything for me in life. Um, when there are no agreements, there are expectations, and expectations always lead into disappointments or pointing fingers or blaming, but agreements make things work. So, um, can we all agree that we keep our cameras on for the safety and connection so we can all see the people who are here and could feel connected with them? Thank you. And I see that everyone's mics are muted. That is great. And my request is that if someone wants to talk, you um, raise your digital hand, or there are not that many people, so you can also raise your real hand and take the mic to speak. And also, I wanted to say it from the beginning that what I'm going to share here is not research based or science backed. Um, it's mostly based on the lived experience of myself and the people around me and the people that I've had conversations with around the topic of sex. And in my idea, in my view, this is what we cannot get anywhere, or we can rarely get anywhere else. Because as we all know, people don't openly talk about sex and their sexual life and the reality of it very openly to everyone. So if right now you feel that, okay, this is not what I'm interested about, or this is not why I came here, you are more than welcome to leave the space and um, use your time more usefully and in whatever way that would be more serving to you to spend this 90 minutes. So if you agree to be here, you agree to the way that this masterclass is going to be based on lived experiences. And again, if at any point you don't feel comfortable, you think that, oh, this is too much for me, or, oh, I'm not getting anything here, again, feel free to leave the session and use your time the way that you want to use it. There is no shame in it, no blame in it, and you are very much free to choose how you want to use your time. Um, do we agree on that? Perfect. And if at some point I would ask you to share some things, either by speaking or by putting it in the chat, if at any point you feel that, oh, I'm not comfortable speaking up to the group or writing what I'm thinking in the chat, that's totally fine. You always have the option to write a private chat to me. So you're still engaged and we can still get what is going on in you and share it with the group without it being on your name. Anything else you would like to add or you would like to make an agreement on? Lawrence, please.
I don't know if it was mentioned and I just slipped my attention, but confidentiality. To me, that would be important. I would share it in this space, stays here, and also, because it's recorded, I'd love to hear what happens to the recording. And I hope nothing.
Thanks for asking. Yes, the meeting is being recorded and the recording will be shared with people who have signed up to be in this event, but
Mm.
mentioned that they're not going to be live and they would like to see the recording. And I'm not going to share anything from what you're sharing here publicly. Like, I'm not going to create clips of your sharings and share it publicly. I might use what is happening here, the experiences, and share it somewhere else. But specifically, you speaking on video is not going to be shared anywhere rather than to the individuals that have requested to watch the recording.
Cool.
Thank you. Thanks for
Thank
asking
you.
that.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's start with the question of um, why do we rarely talk about sex? What do you think? You can put it in the chat, you can say it, you can share it in a private chat with me. Why do we rarely talk about sex? And not only to other people, even in a relationship with our partner. Why do we rarely talk about it?
I'd say it's probably one of the most exposing areas of one's life. And so it's a very vulnerable space.
Yeah,
And therefore, if I expose, there's in my world, there's space for rejection. There's space for I'm not good enough. Um, it's also an unknown. And so the comparing mind can come and play.
thank you. Explosion, rejection, not being enough, comparison. It is labeled as private. It's open to interpretation, not being able to express fully.
And some people are adamant that it's private and nobody else's business, right?
Yeah, yeah, I've heard it a lot that the sex belongs to the closed doors of the bedroom. And I'm really, really hoping that people who are behind that closed door do speak about it. And I don't know. So you're not sure about that. There is no education about sex, neither in school nor in family, and it's a taboo in many cultures. It's personal. Yeah, thank you. Never practiced it, definitely. So, in many of our experiences, and there are definitely people who have been brought differently, who have been in a different culture, who are in a different age group that might have learned what sex is and how to speak about it and have the language to speak about it when they have been brought up. And some people know, like I can say from my own experience and many people that I've spoken with in the sharing circles that I've been running, in the group programs that I've been running, in private conversations that I've been having with people, that say there is a lot of shame around sex. There is, like what Joel was saying, it's very vulnerable. You're exposing yourself. And whenever you're exposing yourself and sharing something vulnerable, there's this chance to be rejected, to be judged for what you think, or for who you are, or for what you say. And many of us don't even have the language to talk about it. Even if I want to say something, ugh, like I don't know what to say. I don't know how to say it because, yeah, we never practiced talking about it. And I have my notes here, so I'm looking at my notes. I'm gonna make sure that I'm transparent about that. Um, so there is also the feeling of I want to avoid conflicts. I don't want to bring the topic out, and then there would be a conflict around it. So it's safer to just, let things be and let things go and not talk about it. Not knowing what I actually want. So it could be that I do like to talk about it, but I don't have the language and I don't even know what I want. So those are many of the reasons we don't talk about sex. And what happens is that many couples start talking about sex for the first time when they are in the office of a sex therapist, or a couples counselor, or a couples therapist, when they have already decided that they want to end their relationship, because either they have been together for years and the sex life is not satisfying, or one of them has had an affair already and they're coming to this, okay, like, let's go to a therapist before we end it all. And that's the first place that they start talking about sex to each other for the first time. And this is what we are going to explore and unpack here today. What are the hidden rules, the unspoken rules that are running our system, that are running our sex life, that we are not even aware of, and causing this not talking about sex, causing the disconnection, causing the dissatisfaction? Just explore and see what those rules are. And of course, we can sit here for half a day and explore and find these rules or beliefs or stories or whatever you want to name it that are happening in the background you're not aware of, and are actually not in the background but on the driving seat, and taking the role, and and riding the car. But I have brought a few of them that we can talk together, can see, oh, is this what's really running my sex life, happening in my relationship, or something similar to that? Or I'm sure when we start talking about them, there are more that pop up in your head, and you start shedding light, then a lot more will become visible. Is there anything anyone wants to share up until this point? Okay, then let's go get to the rules. And I have even created some slides for you. That's what I barely do, but nothing fancy, just simple slides. I thought they might be helpful. Um, let's see. Okay. Do you see my screen? Do you also see me next to my screen? I have been successful in arranging this. Okay. So the unspoken rules running your sex life start with, okay, now how can I change these slides? Let's see, let's see. Okay. So the first rule is sex is bad. Very simple. And it carries all the shame stories that are going on around sex. That is what we unconsciously learn from since we are a child, that sex is bad, sex is shameful, sex is, I don't know, something that we shouldn't talk about, something that should be hidden, something that no one should know about. And then, funny enough, at some point in our life, is we have to do it. You know, there are a lot of reasons, either because, well, I'm at certain age and everybody's doing it, so I should do it, or I've got married and this is what married people do, or no, it's just a lot of pressure from the outside, from the friends, from the society, from the media, that we should actually be doing it. And then on the other hand, it's bad. So there is a huge mental and emotional conflict going on around sex is bad, and a lot of shame that we are carrying around it here. The second rule, I need to learn how to change this. Okay, the second rule is that sex should be spontaneous. No, again, this is what we might have learned from. I mean, let me tell you, most of the things I've learned about sex in my own life has been from the movies. The movies that I have watched secretly in my early 20s. So before that, I had no idea about sex. And what I've heard was from some friends in school, just talking about things that didn't make sense. And then for the first time, and the first movie that I watched with explicit sexual scenes and about sex was Eyes Wide Shut. And that is a kind of an extreme movie to start with. And everything seemed so unbelievable. And I was sure that this, like, it's all a lie. Like, this can't be reality. This can't be happening. Everything that was happening in that movie. And I had so many questions in my head about it, but there was no place to go and ask those questions. So so I would see that, oh, this is, they are saying is happening out there, and this is where I am, and these are the feelings that I have, and this is the knowledge that I don't have. So it was a lot of confusion going on. And again, this topic of sex is bad and sex is shameful, but why are they so openly talking about it in the movies, and why are they so excited about it? And from those movies, I learned that sex should be spontaneous. You know, you just, it just happens, and you are both so excited about it, and these fireworks are going on, and you know, start kissing and start fucking, and everything is perfect, and everyone is so happy, which was not necessarily happening in real life. And this is one of those rules, one of those ideas that maybe we're not aware of, but we are carrying with ourselves, and is impacting so many relationships because, yeah, it should be spontaneous. You know, if we start talking about it, like what? Is it like a session that we should schedule? Is it like, I don't know, work that we have to talk about and plan? And yes, in a way it is. Like we said, like what we said at the beginning of this conversation, at the beginning of this session, creating agreements is one of the things that really helps things work. And if we're not talking about sex, if we're not making any agreements, we are living based on expectations. Expectations lead to disappointment, lead to blame. That's why a lot of sexual relationships are rooted in expectations and resulting in dissatisfaction, disappointment, and being unhappy. And again, one of the expectations is sex should be spontaneous and happening naturally. So the next rule is that if if I want more or less or different, then something is wrong with me. And again, this is what I hear a lot, that no, I'm having sex with my wife only once a month, and that's not enough. Like, I would like to have more sex with her. Or someone else like, oh my God, we are having sex every other day, and that's too much for me. Like, I don't want to have that much sex, I want less. Or people who are having fantasies and are never able to talk about it because they want something different. So this is the other rule going in the background, that if I want something more, less, or different, then something's wrong with me. And again, going back to the beginning of our conversation, why don't we talk about sex? Especially in this part, that if I want more, less, or different, then it exposes me. And there's always this fear of, what would my partner think about me if I say what I really want, or how much I really want it, or in what ways I really want it? What do they think about me? Do they think that I'm a pervert? Do they think that, they're not enough for me, so that's why I want more? There's a lot of fear about what the other person would thought of me, or what the other person would thought of themselves, and if they're going to reject me, if they're going to say no, if all the thoughts that are going on, creating this fear to, okay, then I shouldn't be wanting anything different than what is here right now. And if I do that, something's wrong with me. The fourth rule we're going to talk about, and the last one, is that men should, women should, and queer people should. And also add that, because that's also a very interesting topic, how sex should be for queer people. The gender roles that, again, unconsciously have been programmed in our operating system from all the conversations we have had since whenever we have started talking about sex, everything we have seen again in the movies, everything that has been going on in the families, that things like men want to have sex with everyone. Like it doesn't matter. They just want to have sex. Or women are more emotional about it. They really need to have a connection first to be able to have sex. Or men are the ones who are initiating, women are the ones who are withdrawing. Or I don't know, like after an orgasm, the man is gonna go to sleep and the woman needs to be cuddled. Like all these little examples and little rules that we have learned somewhere, heard somewhere, learned somewhere, and got as the fact that, okay, so this is how it should be. And again, if I want differently, or if I do differently, then something is wrong. Anything you would like to ask, share, comment on so far based on these four rules that we talked about? Or if they're opening other ideas, other rules that you might see, oh, yeah, this is also happening. This is also going on in relationships, or this is in my experience. Okay, so we talked about this part of where these rules come from, but we are gonna look at them one more time. So they're either coming from external sources like religious, culture, family, Hollywood, porn, gender stereotypes, peer pressure. So these are the external sources that we learn about sex either intentionally or unintentionally, either consciously or unconsciously. Those are the sources of information that enter our brain and create those rules in the background. Or some internal sources, comparison, internalized shame, fear of being too much or not enough, confusion, fear of rejection. So those are the sources that create the stories and the rules around how sex should be, shouldn't be, and how it is and how it's running our sexual life and relationships. So Mo is saying the second one was really eye-opening to me, that sex should be spontaneous. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. So let's start with, because I really want this to be interactive and I don't want to be the only one speaking here and you just listen. What we shared here about the rules, the unspoken rules or the hidden rules running our sex life, what is one rule that you can see is running in the background in your own sexual life, in your own relationship, or in your previous relationships? Could be one of the four that we talked about, or something that opens up when you hear those. So if everybody first put it in the chat, and then we'll start also sharing in person. I assume Ali Reza and Mariam, you wanted to share, right? Okay, let's first put in the chat and then you two can talk about it for more people. And again, if you're not comfortable, you can send a private chat to me and I'll share it with the group. Yes, Hugh. The prompt is, what is one rule, one hidden rule that has been running your sex life in your relationship, in your previous relationships? One that is either in these four groups that we talked about or something else that you can see, oh, that's one of those rules. These are great answers, and I see that it's really opening up things in your minds. That's amazing. Okay. Ali Reza, do you still want to share what you wanted to share?
Hello, everyone. I'm sorry I don't have my video on because it's not exactly great background and everything. Um, yeah, I just want to add maybe one rule. I'm not sure if it belongs in this or anything. You decide, Safa. But in my experience, I was always confused between intimacy and sex. A lot of times I thought they are equal, and just recently, yeah, for me, they are really different. Not every sex is intimacy, and not any intimacy comes with sex, and these can be two different words, and it would be beautiful if they just match. I think something magical happens, but it took me some time to be conscious about that. I just wanted to share if anyone has, and unfortunately I can't see the messages of people in the chat. I don't know what's wrong with my phone, but yeah,
I'll read
thanks.
the messages. Yeah, but that's great. Yeah, that's why at least I always say sex and intimacy because yeah,
Mm,
they're two different areas, two different things, and as you said, sometimes they overlap, and that's great, and
yeah,
sometimes they're just totally different experiences. And again, in my own experience, it took me a long time to realize how they were mutually exclusive for me. So it was
right.
impossible to be intimate with someone and have sex, or have sex and be
Mm,
intimate. It was like, no, every person either belongs to this group or that group. They can't be together.
mm,
And that was
mm,
very sad and painful actually to experience life
right.
like that. Yeah. Thank you for sharing it.
Um, sure. Just one thing, because I
Uh-huh.
see the messages flying and I can't access them. Someone has written, "Go to red light and experience the difference," which is funny and true, for sure. But unfortunately, sometimes this happens in dating as well. It's not only like prostitutes and things like that. Yeah, I think it all boils down to chemistry, but more importantly, to the capacity you have in that period of your life in yourself. In my experience, I can be available for sex, but sometimes I'm not available for intimacy. And and sometimes you just wish to be more intimate, but you're just not ready, or your emotions are not. It's very complicated. Yeah, and one of the reasons I'm attending this is to be more.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, of course it is. I guess it is complicated. And exactly what we're doing is just to giving it more language and to exploring it and to it's like there's this entangled ropes together that we can start, straightening things up and see it more clearly. And again, there is no one answer or one right way or anything. It's just exploring and seeing and choosing what works, what doesn't work, and that's what we're doing here. So I'm gonna read. Mariam, do you wanna share something? Mariam Limoui.
I wrote it.
Thank you. So, um, what you have shared, sex is not a priority when we get busy with life. Exactly. That's one of the uh, it's one of those more visible rules. It's not always very hidden. It's something that we say that it's not a priority because I have a busy life. I have work, I have kids, I have all the chores to do, I have family relationships, so there's no time for sex, and I have to schedule time for sex. And hey, sex should be spontaneous, so I cannot schedule time for that. Okay, someone is at the door. I'm gonna let them in. Um, so yeah, and there is something behind, probably behind this rule as well. That is one of those unspoken ones that's happening. Hello, Elham. Are you with us?
Hi, hi.
Hey, great to have you. We exceptionally accepted you in the meeting
Oh,
after it
thank you.
started. Yeah, and we are talking. We already mentioned the rules, explore the rules that are running our sexual life, and people are sharing in the chat and I'm reading them, so you can join from here and see what opens up for you when you hear the rules that people share. Thank you.
For being late.
That's okay. Okay, so my internal chatter is what he wants this time. This is shameful to say, trying to be open to get it out. Yes, and thank you so much for being honest about it. Yeah, it's like that pressure of, oh, like someone wants something from me. Sex is, I have to give. Someone wants and I have to give. So there's a lot of pressure, obligation, duty in that. Again, that's one of the things they hear a lot, especially from a lot of women, that sex is like something I have to do. It's an obligation to. Expressing sexual attraction as a hetero male is bad, especially, I guess you mentioned later, especially to someone outside of the relationship. Yes, that is very much related to sex is bad. And if I express the want to have it, then of course it's bad and I'm bad. Private, private makes people uncomfortable, shame. Yes. Again, sex is bad, makes people uncomfortable. The men should, women should, queer should stood out the most, though I am put in a simple box and therefore it should be that way. Exactly. It's really painful with this stereotypes, gender stereotypes. A big one for me was expectation in society about how much sex a man should have in order to be considered good enough. Exactly. And that if you don't have enough sex with your partner, it means you're somehow less of, yes, it's so much linked to manhood and masculinity and all that, that again, that's what I hear from a lot of men, that it's really exhausting and so like so unfair that like your whole being would be attached to like a sexual part and how that performs or how much that performs. Thank you. Enough, less, more. Sex needs to take place only after the proper amount of being nice to each other. Yeah, that all the chores are done and that everything is in proper place and that we aren't loud, noisy, or getting too carried away. Yes, exactly, Tom. That's also related to putting sex in a busy schedule and also putting it in the nice way that we are nice to each other. We're not making it messy and loud and naughty. It's just, yeah, just a very gentle, nice love making that is accepted, and any other form of it is not accepted. The other life issues, problems, disagreements begin to interfere with sex. Just go to Amsterdam red light and experience the difference. Sex should not be about pleasure, it should be about making love. It's very interesting the meanings that we give to sex. Again, there are so many different meanings, and that this is not the place to open that and explore that much, but it would be a very interesting topic to explore, that the meanings that we give to sex, we love, connection, pleasure, spirituality, like there are so many different meanings, play, or the other meanings that we talked about, that something like a bad behavior, like a bad guy, like naughty person, that all those meanings that are given to sex and could be different for two people. And then if they're not matching, then there would be conflict. If the woman does an orgasm, it's the man's fault. Yeah, and even that orgasm is the goal of sex. So if you both have an orgasm, then the sex has been successful. If one of you had orgasm, then yeah, okay, meh. And yeah, if anyone didn't have orgasm, it's the other person's fault that they didn't have it. Or that the partner having an orgasm is the other partner's responsibility. Yeah, there's a lot of, again, expectation here. I'm always worried if we have a good quality, fun, and exciting sex feels like a job that should be done perfectly. Perfection. Yeah, exactly. Perfection is, again, one of those rules. Performance and perfection. Again, for me, learning from movies and Hollywood movies with all those perfect bodies and perfect movements and perfect sounds and perfect orgasms and everybody being like so happy afterwards and glowing like, oh wow, like how can I do that? Like I'm not those people. I cannot do that. So a lot of pressure about the performance and perfection being a disappointment performance. Yeah, exactly. Wow, thank you so much. And yeah, if I want and ask for having sex more than my partner, how would he think about me? Exactly. If I want more, what do they think about me? Do they think that I'm like a I don't know, promiscuous person, or do they think that they're not enough for me? So I'm not getting enough of them. And great. Thank you so much for sharing so honestly and opening this conversation. So let's go to the next part, which is okay, we're talking about all these hidden rules or more visible rules running our sex life. What is the impact of following these rules with closed eyes, blindfoldedly, not knowing that we're following these rules and they're running our lives? What is the cost to intimacy and to our relationship? So that's where intimacy is coming to play, Andrew. Rizal. You can probably explore it here more. What are the costs of these rules running our sex life? And we go to our slides. And I want to say something before I start sharing about this. So when I say this is based on lived experiences, of course, I had a conversation with ChatGPT when I was preparing for this masterclass yesterday and asked some questions. It was quite helpful. And like when I was asking about the costs of following these rules, what ChatGPT was giving me was a bunch of fancy words or concepts, that it shrinks desire. We lose intimacy if we follow these rules. We'll have emotional disconnect. We'll have emotional distance. We become disconnected from our partner. We feel lonely. We are not expressing ourselves honestly, which are all true, but it didn't resonate with me. It didn't land in me. Like, okay, yeah, these are the costs, but what are the real costs? Like what happens if these rules are running our lives? And again, I started going back to my own lived experience, to all the people that I have heard from, what is happening, what is really happening in their life when these rules are running in the background. And these are the ones I came up with, and you can, again, always add to them. Self-talk and conversations in your head with yourself and with your partner. This is one, like, this is huge. If you just imagine how much self-talk you're having with yourself about sex, or how much conversations or fights you're having in your head with your partner about sex that you never bring out and talk to them in real life. How much headspace is taken by these conversations that you're having with yourself or with your partner in your head? And this headspace, this time that you're spending in your head, this attention that you're giving to these conversations in your head, like those are the most precious resources we have. time, attention, headspace, and how much of it is being given to conversations here that are never happening in real life because these rules are running in the background. The next one is pretending it's fine, wishing you could confess to someone that it's not. Always when it comes to it's fine, I remember that episode in Friends when Ross realizes that Rachel and Joey are dating, and they're asking him how he feels about it, and he's like, "It's fine, it's fine, I'm fine." Like you can see that he's so not fine, and just shouting and screaming that it's fine. And again, this is one of those costs. It's telling everyone that it's fine, to your partner, to your colleagues, to your family members, like whoever asks about how you're doing, how's everything going, it's fine. And you cannot find that one person that you can confess and tell them, hey, it's not fine. You know, the sex is not working. I'm not happy in my sexual life. I'm not happy with the way that sex is going with me and my partner. That's one of the huge costs that you're paying when these rules are running in the background. Avoiding situations with the potential of intimacy. That one is very interesting, and I've heard it so many times from people that, you know, for example, if I'm in the kitchen and I'm cooking, and then my husband comes and just, you know, cuddles with me, and I'm like, hey, I'm cooking. It really happened to me, to myself, and I've heard it from so many people, like from mostly from women sharing it, but also heard it from gay people. So it's happening in all different kinds of relationship that I know, I know it's in my head. It's the story that I've created for myself. It's my expectations that if I give in to that cuddle, then he wants to kiss me, then we are gonna have sex, and I really don't feel like having sex right now, so I don't even let him cuddle with me. And it happens in a lot of different situations. Like if my partner says, hey, let's have a drink, then I know that after a drink, we have to have sex. So, no, we're not going to have a drink. Hey, let's go somewhere for the weekend. Oh, if we go somewhere for the weekend, it means that we're going to have sex. And I don't want to have sex right now, so I'm not going to go on the weekend. And you see this vicious circle that I'm avoiding intimacy to avoid sex, and that is creating that distance and less intimacy at the same time. The next one is snapping at your partner for insignificant stuff. That is something someone also shared in the chat, that like the other conflicts that you have interfere with your sex life, and it's like a two-side road. Yes, and the conflicts that you have in your sex life start showing up as, why didn't you wash the dishes? Like you never wash the dishes, or why are your socks on the floor, or why did your mother say that, or why didn't you do this with our kid, or whatever. It just shows up everywhere else. Those unresolved conflicts that you have in your sexual life, especially those unresolved conflicts that you have here in your own head, in your own mind, with everything that is running in the background. And then another very common hidden cost that happens is starting an affair. So I don't get what I want in this relationship. I cannot talk in this relationship. I cannot say what I desire, what I want, what I like, what I don't like. So I'll go find someone else who I can get what I want from, who I can talk about what I want. And okay, let's ask a question here. By show of hands, how many of you have been impacted by an affair? Meaning that you have had an affair yourself, your partner had an affair, someone close to you that you know had an affair that had an impact on you. How many of you? Show of hands. Yep. And a lot of times we don't know because, again, people don't talk about it. I was having this conversation with one of my friends, and we were just guessing like how many couples are affected by an affair directly. So one of them is having an affair, has had an affair. And he was saying that, no, there are not many people. And I said, I guess it would be about 70% of the relationships that one person had an affair at some point of the relationship. And it's not necessarily that they have had sex with someone, but could be, again, could be another session talking about what an affair is. And I was reading Esther Perel's State of Affairs. She was also saying that, of course, there is no evident data about it because it's not really shared. But something between 30 and 70% of the couples are impacted by an affair that one of the people in that relationship has had. So it's a big thing, and it's a big cost involved, whether you decide to stay together in the relationship or whether you decide to end the relationship. The cost of an affair is a lot. And the last one, of course, ending the relationship most of the times without even getting into a conversation about what is actually going on, what is wrong. It's just that, okay, doesn't work. And there are a lot of other reasons that you can come up with to end the relationship. So we talked about the rules and the hidden costs. And you shared already one rule that you can see is running in the background. If there is something new opening up, you can also share that. And one of the costs that you have already experienced in your relationship because of these hidden rules running in the background. Again, it could be one of the costs that I shared here or something else that comes up to your mind. And these are just, these are a part of the cost. These are more like practical or emotional ones that we're talking about. If you get to financial costs, monetary costs that are involved in, for example, for the last one, ending the relationship, then those are more tangible that you can see that if you're going to go through a divorce, what costs you have to financially have and go through, and also all the impacts that it's having on other people around you. So it's not only the two people in the relationship, but the kids who are involved, the parents who are involved, the third person in an affair who's involved and their relationships. And so it's not only the two people in a relationship that are carrying these costs, but it's like a ripple effect that goes through a lot of people who are around you. So again, in the chat, what is one cost you have had in your relationship because of these rules? Thank you. Faking romanticism, intimacy in order to get sex, which leads to distrust, disconnect. Yeah, exactly. Personally, I have been impacted from all the costs. Yeah, me too. Every single one of them I have experienced and have costed me relationships. I'm more in my head than enjoying the time and relationship, therefore mostly avoiding the potential situation and call them. Yeah, seems like for you, it's also almost all of them. Self-talk, ending relationship. Yeah. Biggest cause is lack of sex and the strange dynamic that it's often easier to have sex with somebody you don't know well versus someone you share your life with. Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's simpler and lighter, like to just have sex with someone and be over with it than getting into all these dynamics that is entangled with it in a relationship with someone. Self-doubt and feeling of not enough. Yep, yep. All the identity costs that you're paying because of it. Sex is part of the foundation of the relationship, but sex stops or fades. We become roommates, business partners, travel companions, and love begins to fade as well. Yeah, thank you for saying it so clearly. Not even approaching women I find attractive and therefore remaining unfulfilling sex life. Yeah, the fear is so strong that don't even want to start in order not to get to all that might happen later and all the costs that might come on the other side of it. Top of these dealing with huge amount of emotions, especially guilt. Yeah, again, a lot of emotional costs and identity costs that we didn't even mention. Self-talk conversations in my head, which results in nonverbal behavior and avoiding intimacy. Perfect. And it's interesting that you can also see the connection and relationship between these costs, that it starts with here with the self-talk and then it creeps into the relationship, the intimacy, and then it can creep into something else. So it's great that you're having all the connections. Having sex with my partner, best friend in the 20s because I was unable to take responsibility for my own sense of self, did not have the tools to be able to communicate. Yeah, exactly. Not having the tools to communicate, not taking the responsibility, and then, as we said, not only impacting yourself, but also your partner, but also could be so many other people. Thank you so much. Wow, this is such a rich conversation. Learning so much from you guys. Thank you. So, by sharing what rules you see that are running in the background are unspoken, but now you can see them, and the costs that they're having, and hearing from other people, what do you notice? What becomes clear for you? If one or two people would like to take the mic and talk about it.
I think one of the biggest things that someone spoke to in here already is the lack of understanding I had around intimacy and how big that spectrum of intimacy actually is. And the way I look at it now is sex is an activity. It's not intimacy. It's a way to access intimacy. And if I slowed my life really down loads and removed sex from it, which has happened several times in my life, intimacy comes in the most smallest of doses. And intimacy is actually something you give because it's the most innermost part of yourself, which is why I think kind of like sex can be this big mirror and smoke and mirrors that is seen as intimate, but it can actually be a very non-intimate activity. And but because it's exposing, it's like I can't speak to it because sex has no words. The activity of sex literally has no words, and that psychologically blows apart the feeling of intimacy because intimacy is a feeling, it's a state of being. Sex is an action. And so if you remove sex out of it completely and just look at intimacy and then talk, how comfortable am I being intimate with myself? How comfortable am I being intimate with other people? And slow it right down. Can I sit there and gaze at someone in the eyes? How comfortable does my body feel with that? Because if I can't even do that, why would I then jump to this place of getting completely naked and laying with someone? And so it's like, for me, that's been my biggest learning thing of creating consent and safety for myself. Because often I was always hearing that the women are feeling unsafe, that I, as a man, am unsafe. And in my experiences now, I've had to and chosen to slow down and look at myself. And having looked back in the past, I have not consented to so many activities, but I didn't even know it because I thought I had to be somewhere. But when now I've slowed it down and I'm exploring these things, I'm like, wow, I felt unsafe. I was the one that felt unsafe, irrespective of whether the woman felt unsafe or not. I felt unsafe. So if you've got two people that feel unsafe, then you're not having intimacy. You're having disconnect because we're both playing from a place of I'm not safe, but we're doing something that's meant to be socially acceptable. It is also pleasurable, it's fun, and there is a release. So it's like, oh, there's connection there, but it's rooted in disconnection. And so I think for me, having slowed right down and just putting sex off of the expectation, off of the agreement table, and just going, can I sit there and gaze at my partner? Can I share something vulnerable about myself with my partner? Can I share something vulnerable and my partner not hear it? And can I be intimate and loving of myself? And that's where, for me at least, the foundations of even starting to build a healthy sex life um, has to start, in my experience. And
Wow, I have
I'd love to hear other people.
goosebumps. Thank you. Thank you, Jo. Oh, you said it so beautifully. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Ali Reza, let's hear from you.
Hey, yeah, beautiful words, man. Respect. It really connected to me as well. And thanks for your courage and your, yeah, well put statements. Actually, I want to share something about myself, a little bit personal. So I have come through this journey, which you just said, Jewel, and it seems to me as the time I got conscious about, I always say sex without intimacy, it started to feel like kind of mutual masturbation, not sex. Like two people trying to get things done. um, and once I kind of got conscious about it, it's like I've diffused that part in myself, but I haven't built anything new. So I feel very vulnerable and kind of closed about sex because I don't want to be that. I don't want to practice non-intimate sex as much as I can, but it seems like I don't have any deep connection to the new thing, right? So I'm actually suffering because um, yeah, I don't know how I try to be intimate, but once you try, it all feels mechanical and non-intimate, if you know what I mean. So I just wanted to share. I have come through this journey, and I know exactly what you mean, and I hope one day I can get over with this non-intimate sexual partnership or activities and start to feel the intimacy with sex as well. But unfortunately, it hasn't come through yet. And sometimes I feel, as you said, Safa, painful. It's painful, and I feel desperate. And I don't know what toolkit I need to build this up, right? I know, yeah, it feels a little bit scary to approach people now because I don't know, would it feel intimate? Would it not? And I had the sex as a kind of a weapon or toolkit to keep the relationship going, even though it wasn't really intimate. But now I've kind of dismissed that tool, and now I feel kind of powerless sometimes or disappointed. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's I
Wow.
don't know if I explained it right or clearly enough, or if anyone had this
Perfect.
experience. Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah,
Perfect. And
sure.
first of all, thank you for sharing it. I totally resonate with what you're saying. Don't know, maybe some of you know that I'm writing a book about this topic, and at some point I wrote it on a post-it note and put it on my desk because it was a big question for me. has sex ever brought me closer to people? Was really a big question. And I see it so much related to what you're sharing, Alireza, that just realize that no, sex hasn't created any intimacy for me or hasn't brought me closer to people. And it's a great space to be. I know it's uncomfortable, but it's a great space to be where you know something has not been working and you don't have the new thing, the new tool, the new concept, the new system yet. It feels desperate, it feels empty, and it's a great space to be because it's a space of creation. Like you're creating from nothing. That's beautiful. And I'm very curious to hear what you create from here. Thank you. Mohammed, let's hear from you and then we move on to the next topic.
Sure. So what I'm present to right now is we are often not talk about it, even not looking at it in our personal life. Like sometimes I felt personally this is so complicated or have different aspects that I couldn't get my head around it. So okay, leave it, whatever it is, just leave it as it is. The other point was it's come from the personal experience as well that I really love what you said. Is sex brings you closer to the people, and I have been I know I don't call it lucky, but I had this experience that brings me, far from that person. On the other hand, I had experience that brings me so close to that person that I couldn't even imagine. And I just wonder, wow, so I got what Hollywood's movie are talking about now. So that was kind of intimacy that I got out of it as well. But again, I want to second what Joel brings up. Once I got to the journey that I get the connection with myself, I was able to be with people and getting closer to people, not necessarily having sex. And that was something very different from past experiences.
Thank you. Thanks so much. And it's very hopeful to hear that you have had experiences of sex bringing you closer to people. Perfect.
And the last part, I also commenting on myself all the time. I have no idea what the relationship, what the sex, or whatever it is all about. Up to the point that I have just kind of captured a little bit of it, but by, I don't know, experiencing at that part of it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what also someone said in the comment, can't believe how much details are in this topic that we don't have any education for. And as we mentioned a few times, and you're mentioning now, any language for. No, it's something that you experience, you feel, you express, not necessarily always have the language to say, okay, what is sex, what is intimacy, what is relationship, what is the difference between them, what brings them together? Like, yeah, a lot of it is just experience and expression. Sex within 100% monogamous relationship purely for pleasure's sake is to be avoided at all costs. So is it, Tom, is it what you are noticing from this conversation, or is it one of the rules?
It's one of the rules of our relationship. It's like that's you don't that would be hedonistic to be just seeking pleasure. You don't, there's got to be a lot of, physical, verbal, and mental intimacy. You just can't have sex for the sake of having sex, because then
Yeah.
you're like animals.
Yeah, that's also one of the hidden rules. Thank you. So now that we have looked at these rules, unspoken rules, hidden rules, stories, ideas, thoughts, whatever we name them, and looked at the costs that they're having, if you have the possibility of rewriting one of these rules, because we didn't know them explicitly. Now we brought them to the light, made them visible. So now I was used the Monster Inc. Metaphor. Don't know if you have watched Monster Inc., the cartoon. Like when the lights are off, there is a monster under the bed or in the closet, and it's scary, and children are scared. And then when you turn on the light, you'll see that it's like a big, blue, hairy, cute thingy. That was the monster in the closet, and now you can see the monster, and you have a choice to beat it up until it dies, or to throw it away, or to keep it and play with it, or do whatever what you want with the monster. So now that we have these rules, these stories, these ideas out in the light, what do you want to do with them? Like, are they serving you? Do you want to keep them? Are they not serving you? Do you want to write something new instead of them? And that's my invitation, to see if there is one of these rules that you want to rewrite it. What would you write as a newly consciously created rule that you want to take with yourself to your sexual life? So, Ali Raza, this is the place I'm saying you can create consciously. You can also put your new rules in the chat. Nice ones coming up. So be present for yourself and your partner. Beautiful. I am open to play with the full spectrum of intimacy. Beautiful. I'm not bad for being sexually attracted to someone or having a high sex drive. And the comment, good one, and it goes both ways. I'm not bad if I do not feel like it sometime. I love it. This resonates. If we remove the idea of good and bad, who are you? Thank you, Joel, for asking that question. So if you can, Daniel and Mariam L, if you can see if there is no good and bad, there's no idea of good and bad, who are you? What is the rule you're creating? Sex for the sake of having sex should be an option. Well, is an option. That could be a rule to remove the strength of force of shoot. We are not responsible for the partner's orgasm. And worthy and loved, independent of how much sex we have. Beautiful. So, yeah, I would say, Elham, I am responsible for my own feelings and pleasure and orgasm. And everybody else is responsible for theirs. I'm the honest partner. Beautiful. Just repeat that new rule to yourself and see how it feels. And you say, I am the honest partner. And you say, I'm worthy and loved, independent of how much sex we have. And you say, I'm responsible for my own pleasure. And you say, I'm open to playing the full spectrum of intimacy. I'm present with myself and with my partner. Sex for the sake of sex is an option. Like when I'm saying these sentences, something is like relaxing, going easy in my body when I hear them. Talk openly about feelings, needs, and preferences help prevent misunderstandings and builds deep intimacy. How would this entire discussion be different if our partners were here involved in this discussion? Thank you very much. Yes. It always starts with one person and doesn't have to stay only with one person. And one thing you can do is, if you feel comfortable, share the recording of this session with your partner and enroll them in watching the recording and sharing what is happening for them. Like this is a very, very beautiful step for opening the conversation, for creating intimacy, for, you don't even have to directly talk about, okay, what is my rule? What is your rule? Just see what people say. And then if you like, we can talk about it. This would be a great first step to take after this conversation. And that's the next question coming up. So based on this new rule that you're creating, what becomes possible for you? And from that space, what can you do differently? If I'm present, if I'm responsible for my own pleasure, if I'm worthy, if I'm open to play, what becomes possible? And from that space, what can I do differently? And that I would love to hear from a couple of people if you're open to share. I mean, of course, put it in the chat, and then if you're open to talk about it, what becomes possible and what can I do differently? asking what I want when I want it. That's very powerful and very direct. I'm asking what I want when I want it. Explore more options to have fun. Yeah, it's great that you're bringing up fun because one of the things sex is fun. It's supposed to be fun. A lot of times it just becomes so heavy. Even in this conversation that we're having here today, we're looking at these rules and costs, and it just makes it all heavy. Sex is supposed to be fun and playful. Lesson to seek deeper understanding of others' relationship to intimacy. Does that mean like having a conversation with your partner and listening to what intimacy is for them? Thank you. Replace self-talk with honest talk. Woo! You're going somewhere. Feeling good enough and having sex come from joy instead of lack. Beautiful. Yeah. So, does anyone want to share what you see is becoming possible for you and what you can do differently? In addition to or next to what you shared in the chat. Hey, well, before we close, I wanted to acknowledge every single one of you for being in this room, just for your courage to show up in the space without knowing what's going to happen, who's going to be there, what we're going to talk about. There's a lot of curiosity at the beginning of session and not knowing. Being willing to look at things that most people avoid looking at. Being honest and sharing so much with the group. I'm sure that it's a lot more than what I had to share, what you shared and put in the chat that helps other people get something out of this session. Someone said in the chat earlier that I'm not alone. Exactly. Like if one person get that feeling that I'm not alone, it's a lot. It's a lot to get from this time and being in this space together. Thank you for staying present, for being engaged. Thank you for taking responsibility to look for your own intimacy and relationship. And again, hopefully this would be a first step. This would be a door to open it also for your partner. So they can also take that responsibility for their own intimacy and pleasure and relationship. And then we can build something beautiful together. And if there is anything that opened up during this conversation and you would like to explore further, you can send me a message and we'll make time for it to talk about it together. Mohammed, before we close, you can share what you want to say.
Yeah, I wanted to acknowledge us for being here, setting aside 1.5 hours, just really looking and talk about things and topic that we usually not talk about, or willing to have a look. And at the end, I want to acknowledge you, Safa, for giving us this opportunity to get together. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate every single one of you and wish you a great rest of your day. Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.